Hello and welcome to Olivia's journey as an L2 learner. In this project, we explore how a fictional character named Olivia learns a second language while illustrating the psycholinguistic and brain process involved. Through her story, we will discover how different areas of the brain work together when acquiring vocabulary, reading, and speaking in a new language.
I am 21 years old. I am Argentinian too. On the other hand, I live in Buenos Aires and I am studying international relations student. So I want to do a student exchange in North America, and I really want visit new places and volunteer.
This is Olivia Rossi, a 21 years old Argentinian student of international relations. She lives in Buenos Aires and dreams of studying in North America. Olivia wants to improve her English to B2 level, and in this project she becomes our fictional L2 learner, showing us how the brain works during her journey of acquiring vocabulary, reading, and speaking in English.
So, I'm Olivia. I try to learn a little English every day. I like to use my tablet for that. I downloaded some apps that help me a lot. I study at least 30 minutes a day, take notes, and make an effort to remember everything I learn.
At this point, Olivia focuses on learning new vocabulary. She starts by collecting unfamiliar words and uses digital flashcards with images to create small stories that help her remember. Several brain areas are involved in this process. The awareness area allows her to understand and process the meaning of the words. The temporal lobe helps store these meanings in her memory. The semantic memory system saves the words as factual knowledge, and the hippocampus encodes them so they can be learned and recalled later. This shows how vocabulary learning is not just memorization, but a combination of comprehension, storage, and association inside the brain. Olivia begins to write in her second language. She tries short essays and journal entries, translating her ideas into English while checking grammar and spelling. Writing in L2 activates several brain areas at the same time. The angular gyrus helps transform her ideas into written words. The visual cortex helps to recognize and monitor letters as she writes. And the working memory is the prefrontal cortex, keeps the sentence alive in her mind and finishes it. This shows how written in a second language is a complex process because Olivia's brain must coordinate meaning, symbols, and structure all together in order to create text that makes sense.
Okay, I am Wendy and I continue Olivia's speaking in L2. Okay, the first is speaking challenges. When Olivia speaks English, she experiences certain difficulties typical of a Spanish speaker at a B2 level. Her pronunciation is influenced by Spanish, for example. She struggles to differentiate the sounds. She says thin instead of think. Sometimes she draws a blank because she can't find a word. She used filler words to gain time, and she can make literal translation like I have 20 years. On the other hand, strategies Olivia used. To overcome these difficulties, Olivia used learning resources, shows or vocabulary phrases. She memorizes rhyme expressions, also self-correction. She studies and rephrases what she said incorrectly. And gesture and expression, she used this support to convey meaning. And part of the brain involved in speaking. When Olivia speaks English, several brain areas work together. Here we see, in other words, Broca organizes grammar and sentence structure, phonological loop maintains the sound idea, and more quartet converts it into actual sound. Okay, so this is real life example. In Canada, Olivia introduced herself in class, and here we find a small example, and I observe the following data. Here we see how broadcast area plays the grammatical structure, the phonological loose things, what she wants to say while the searches for the right word, and the motor cortex allow here to produce sounds in real time. Okay, so now I will explain this is image a little to have the initial idea Olivia wants to communicate. Broadcast area organizes grammar and structure sentence, phonological loop, mentally rehearses sounds before saying them. Motor cortex coordinates muscles to produce speech, and spoken output the final message spoken in English. Okay, now difficulty solutions and emotional factors. Difficulties, fluency versus accuracy, struggles to balance writing quickly with being precise, listening, difficulty with fast pace, English or unfamiliar concepts, pronunciations, confusion between B and B, and difficulty with TH sounds. And solutions, flashcards, visual stories, use-based repetition and visual memory, conversational practice, speaking with native speakers, build competence, and self-monitoring compares English and Spanish structures to correct sentences. And finally, emotional factors. High motivation, their genuine interest, reduce anxiety. Occasional anxiety, they manage it by focusing on convey the message, and positive engagement, creative activities, visual stories, writing, facility memory, and fluency.
To summarize Olivia's journey, different brain areas are activated when learning a second language. The Wernicke's area, the hippocampus, and the temporal lobe work together in vocabulary learning and memory storage. When she writes, the angular gyrus, the visual cortex, and her working memory help transform ideas into words and check accuracy. And finally, when she speaks, the broadcast area is responsible for producing and articulating speech. And this shows that learning a language is not isolated. It requires the coordination of multiple brain regions working together.
To finish conclusion, what I learned from Olivia's journey, um, learning a language goes beyond just memorizing vocabulary. It also engages your brain, memory, and emotions. So, how this help understand psycholinguistics? It explains how parts of the brain, like Wernicke's area, the angular gyrus, the isthmic area, and the hippocampus, work together to help us learn language. And finally, open questions. How does motivation interact with cognitive load in language learning? And other question is, how can teacher use visual story or flashcard to improve vocabulary learning? Thank you.
To finish, we find the reference used in this process along with the theories proposed by each author. We also find an image representing a learning activity that can be used to test understanding of brain diagram along with a discussion question. And we also generate images of Olivia with AI of Google Gemini using prompts of action based on a base cartoon.